Okay, so around 4 years ago, I started having issues with my sleep. Fast forward to now, I've been tracking my sleep for over 1,000 days and tried just about every supplement, hack, routine, and habit that you can think of. Over this period, I have learned a thing or two along the way. The hard way, trust me. So that's why I'm making this video. You see, so many of us struggle with our sleep, and I don't want that for you guys. So in this video, you're gonna learn why your sleep sucks and how to fix it, so you don't have to wait 4 years to learn everything the hard way like I did, because I only just recently learned one major sleep lesson that has literally changed my life. But before we can get to that, we first need to go back to when I was a teenager. You see, I was never a big sleeper. I remember sleeping over at friends' houses on the weekend, and I would always, like 100% of the time, be the first one to wake up. They would always sleep in for hours, and I would always end up in that weird position where you're in like someone else's house and they're all asleep, and then the parents get up. It's weird. But nonetheless, although it was a little bit shorter than them, the sleep itself was fine. I mean, if I wasn't comparing to anyone, I wouldn't know the difference. But I remember distinctly around 2018, something just changed. I gradually started just getting more restless, having a little bit more trouble falling asleep, and just waking up multiple times throughout the night and struggling to get back to sleep. I remember laying there wide awake in the middle of the night just thinking, what would my life look like if I could just sleep like everyone else? This one question sparked a 4-year journey, and so began phase 1. Research. I wanted to know everything there is to know about sleep. So I started reading, listening, watching, anything that I could get my hands on. Here's what I learned. Our society, culture, evolution advanced so quickly that human evolution couldn't possibly keep up. We have ancient analog bodies and systems living in modern digital times, and it's messing with our sleep. Here's what we know for sure. Digital screens, bright lights, particularly blue light, alcohol, caffeine, irregular sleeping hours, and information overload are the worst things for our sleep. All of which, by the way, are staples in pretty much any modern home. Luckily, this is all actually pretty easily fixed. I call these the basics. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on the weekends. No screens 1 hour before bed. Keep your house dark and cool, preferably around 18 degrees. No alcohol close to bed. No caffeine within 8 hours of bed. Don't have a huge meal late at night. Don't exercise close to bedtime. And if you're going to be on screens, get yourself some blue light blocking glasses and keep the screens dim. That's it. Honestly, for most people watching this, just implementing a few of those tips will be like the best thing you've ever done for your sleep. I went all in and implemented everything, and it 100% worked. I was having less trouble falling asleep. I was less restless throughout the night. I was waking up far less, and I felt great. Fixed. But here's the thing. I love this stuff. I love learning and tinkering and optimizing things. It's what I do. So, I wasn't satisfied, of course. I wanted to have the best sleep in the world, the most optimal sleep. Couldn't just be happy with a good sleep, could I? So that brought me to phase 2, tracking. So Brie and I got some Oura Rings, which at the time were the best tracking devices for our sleep. So we could start tracking the amount of hours we're getting and the quality of sleep. 6 hours, 5 hours, 6.5 hours, 4 hours. This is Brie. She's been dealing with me and my annoying sleep issues for over 10 years. She sleeps really good.
8 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah, okay, we get the point. This really got to me because there's a line from a book called Why We Sleep by Matt Walker, which I just couldn't get out of my head. The shorter you sleep, the shorter you live.
Or I could tell you about sleep loss and your cardiovascular system, and that all it takes is 1 hour. In the spring, when we lose 1 hour of sleep, we see a subsequent 24% increase in heart attacks that following day. In the autumn, when we gain an hour of sleep, we see a 21% reduction in heart attacks.
So my sleep on a good night is way less than 8 hours. Like, how long have I been sleeping like this for? My entire life? Like, what damage have I done? So I became obsessed. The quest for 8 hours had begun. I call these advanced techniques: meditation, binaural beats, breathwork, journaling, red light therapy, nose strips to help with breathing, sodium before bed to stop you from peeing, and just about every supplement known to man. Affirmations, weighted blankets, lavender oil, hot shower before bed, cold shower before bed, and putting a plant in the bedroom because studies have shown that interacting with a plant before bed can help you fall asleep. While Bree's sleep kept getting better, mine just kept getting worse. So people would always ask me, like, what do you wake up thinking about or stressing about? Like, what's on your mind? And the honest answer was always nothing. Like, I wouldn't wake up thinking about work or finances or like stressing about something in particular. The only thing I would stress about was the fact that I was awake. By this point, I was feeling defeated. It had been going on for a long time now, and I was starting to develop a really bad relationship with my bed. To me, it represented stress, anxiety, anger, disappointment. I just really dreaded going to bed. And this all started to take a toll on my health. My psoriasis, which is a skin autoimmune disease, was getting way worse. I started getting anxiety like throughout the day for no particular reason. And looking in the mirror, I could physically see myself aging. And then one night while I was laying in bed wide awake, I started feeling these heart palpitations. They were so severe that I was convinced I was having a heart attack. This was truly a low point. There I was laying in hospital, not knowing what I'd done wrong, not knowing how I was going to get out of this situation, not even knowing if I was going to live. It turns out what I was experiencing was something called ectopic heartbeats, which fueled my anxiety, which then led to panic attacks. Luckily, these ectopic heartbeats aren't generally a sign of heart disease or particularly dangerous. They're just brought on by stress, dehydration, and a lack of sleep. And I asked my doctor, how do I get rid of these palpitations? And his answer, sleep more. Great. You see, to me, living with these sleep issues means walking around with brain fog all the time, being a shell of my former self, not having energy, not wanting to work on my business or not feeling creative and just being unmotivated all the time, feeling depressed, being angry, being a bad partner and a bad father one day. It scares the shit out of me.
Have to remove the have to, must, need to, should, from like, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, right? Whenever you say things like I have to, I must, I should, you're actually creating a threat to yourself in the universe, because the next thing is or what? Like, I have to get this sleep, comma, or what, right? Or I have to follow my routine, comma, or what? A belief that has served me well is thinking I don't need a lot of sleep. Now, in doing that, what it does is that my anxiety around sleep is not really present at all.
This was the first time I'd heard someone talk not about a sleep routine or a habit or a supplement we should be taking, but about our beliefs around sleep. Putting sleep on a pedestal and trying to perfect your sleep and force something to happen is the absolute worst thing that you can do. I realized that stress and anxiety trumps everything. So from that night, I stopped caring. I stopped tracking, I stopped all the routines and the habits that I put in place before bed. I stopped taking the supplements and stopped wearing the blue light blocking glasses. Everything. And I decided I was going to be grateful for the sleep that I am getting, as opposed to focusing and getting angry on the sleep that I'm not. And night by night, my sleep got better and better. I went from waking up 10 times per night down to 5 times and 4 times to now pretty much none. As my confidence built back up, I started getting less anxious around going to bed. My heart was no longer racing, I was no longer getting palpitations. I would go to bed and fall asleep and stay asleep like a normal person. And it's mostly been that way ever since. Now, does this mean that all habits and routines don't work, and if you do them, you'll end up like I did? Absolutely not. This put a big old spotlight on me and my flaws in wanting everything to be perfect and optimized and never being happy with what I have. What I realized after all of this is the recommended 8 hours is an average. Some people are higher and some people are lower. I just fall on the lower side of things. So if you're watching this and you're struggling with your sleep, I do encourage you to try the basics, but don't force something to happen and do not put sleep on a pedestal. But if you're someone like me and you're competitive and you want everything to be perfect, then tracking your sleep and trying to do every single little thing perfect can sometimes be the absolute worst thing that you can do. Sometimes less is more. Alrighty guys, I hope this helped and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.